I'm pregnant. Those were the last words I said to Ethan before my world crumbled. 18 months later, when he showed up at my door with flowers and apologies, all he found was his brother Miguel in our bed and our daughter calling another man Papa. Stay with me and I'll tell you how the man I thought would be my forever became a stranger, while his brother became the family I never knew I needed. Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Mitchell and I'm 28 years old, living in Dallas, Texas. This story isn't easy to tell, but I need to share it because maybe it will help someone recognize the red flags I missed. Understand that sometimes love isn't enough when it comes with manipulation, and learn that the person who saves you might be the one who stays when everyone else runs. It was a humid Thursday evening in August when I first met Ethan Rodriguez. I was at a networking event for local businesses representing my tech company when he approached me at the bar. 6'2" with dark eyes that seemed to see right through me and a confidence that filled the entire room. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere but here," he said, sliding up next to me with the whiskey in hand. I laughed. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who's looking," he replied, and the way he said it made my stomach flutter. "I'm Ethan. I own Rodriguez Construction with my brother." "Sarah," I replied, "marketing coordinator at TechFlow Solutions." "Marketing," he mused, his eyes never leaving mine. "So, you're good at reading people." "I like to think so." He smiled then, a slow, deliberate smile. "What do you read about me?" Looking back, I should have seen it even then. The calculated charm, the intensity that was just a little too much for a first meeting. But I was 26, lonely after a string of mediocre relationships, and here was the successful, handsome man giving me his complete attention. "I read that you're used to getting what you want," I said, trying to match his confidence. "Very perceptive," he said, moving closer. "And right now, what I want is to take you to dinner tomorrow night." I should have been put off by the assumption that I'd say yes. Instead, I was thrilled. "I don't even know you," I protested weakly. "That's what dinner is for," he said, pulling out his phone. "Give me your number. I'll pick you up at 7. It wasn't a question, and I gave him my number without hesitation. That first dinner was at the most expensive restaurant in Dallas. He'd ordered wine before I arrived. "I asked the sommelier for their best," he said casually, like dropping $300 on a bottle was nothing. He asked about my life, my dreams, my past relationships, and listened with an intensity that made me feel like I was the only person in the world. "You're extraordinary," he said over dessert. "I can't believe you're single." "Well, I am," I said, blushing under his gaze. "Not anymore," he declared. "I'm going to make you mine, Sarah Mitchell." The confidence should have been a red flag. The possessiveness in "make you mine" should have warned me. But I was already drowning in his attention. For the next 3 months, Ethan was everything I'd ever dreamed of in a partner. He sent flowers to my office every single day. Not just roses, but exotic arrangements that must have cost a fortune. My desk became a botanical garden, and my coworkers were in awe. "Girl, where did you find him?" my colleague Jessica asked, admiring a particularly stunning arrangement of orchids. "He found me," I said, feeling special, chosen. He texted constantly, good morning messages that were paragraphs long, telling me how beautiful I was and how he dreamed about me. Lunchtime check-ins asking what I was eating, who I was with, evening messages about how he couldn't wait to see me. "I've never felt this way before," he told me after our 5th date. "You're different from every woman I've ever known." "How many women have there been?" I asked, half joking. His face darkened for a moment. "They don't matter. They were nothing compared to you. You're the one I've been waiting for." He took me on surprise weekend trips. Vegas, where he got us a penthouse suite. San Francisco, where he'd booked a private wine tour. New Orleans for Jazz Fest with VIP passes to everything. "This is too much," I protested after he bought me a $2,000 dress for a charity gala he was attending. "Nothing is too much for you," he said, zipping up the dress. "You deserve the world, and I'm going to give it to you." His brother Miguel was at that gala. 3 years younger than Ethan, at 33, he was quieter, more reserved. While Ethan worked the room, telling stories and commanding attention, Miguel stood by the bar, observing. "You must be Sarah," he said when I approached. "Ethan talks about you constantly."
"Good things, I hope." Miguel smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Ethan always speaks highly of his girlfriends. At first, what does that mean? "Nothing," he said quickly. "I'm sure you're different." But the way he said it stuck with me. By month 4, things began to shift. It was subtle at first. The daily flowers became weekly, then stopped altogether. "Hey, I haven't gotten flowers in 2 weeks," I mentioned casually one evening at his apartment. He looked up from his phone, irritation flashing across his face. "Seriously, you're keeping track?" "No, I just noticed." "I thought you were more mature than this, Sarah. Do you need constant validation? That's a bit needy, don't you think?" The words stung. I wasn't complaining, You were just trying to make me feel guilty for not performing grand gestures every day. I have a business to run, Sarah. I can't be your entertainment 24/7. I felt my eyes fill with tears. "That's not what I meant." His face softened immediately. He pulled me into his arms. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just stressed with this big project. You know you mean everything to me, right?" "Right," I whispered. But something had shifted. The texts became less frequent too. When I'd send him a funny meme or ask about his day, sometimes he wouldn't respond for hours. When he finally did, it would be curt. "Busy. Can't talk. Later." But then just when I'd start to pull back, hurt by his coldness, he'd show up at my apartment with takeout from my favorite restaurant and a bottle of wine. "I'm an idiot," he'd say, kissing my neck. "I don't deserve you. You're so patient with me." And the cycle would begin again. 2 weeks of intense attention and affection, then gradual withdrawal, criticism, coldness, followed by grand apologies and love bombing to reel me back in. "I never said we'd go to your mother's birthday dinner," Ethan said 5 months into our relationship. I stared at him in confusion. "Yes, you did. Last week. You said you'd love to meet her." "Sarah, I think I'd remember that. You must have dreamed it or something." "I have the text." I pulled out my phone. "What text? Show me." I scrolled through our messages but couldn't find it. Had I imagined it? No, I was certain we'd discussed it. "I must have deleted it by accident," I said, confused. "Or it never existed," he said with a laugh that didn't sound amused. "You know, you've been forgetting a lot of things lately. Maybe you should see a doctor." This became a pattern. Conversations he'd deny having, plans he'd swear we never made, events he'd remember completely differently than I did. "I said you liked my friend Amy after he'd been cold to her at a party." "I never said that. In fact, I specifically told you she seemed fake. You really need to pay better attention, Sarah." Had he said that? I couldn't remember anymore. My confidence in my own memory began to erode. Miguel noticed the change in me at a family barbecue. "Sarah, are you feeling okay?" he asked, finding me alone on the patio. "You seem different." "Different how?" "Less sure of yourself, quieter. You used to laugh more." "I'm fine," I said automatically, though I wasn't sure what fine meant anymore. "Is my brother treating you well?" I forced a smile. "Of course, Ethan's wonderful." Miguel looked like he wanted to say more, but Ethan appeared in the doorway. "There you are," he said, his tone light but his eyes hard. "Miguel, you're not trying to steal my girlfriend, are you?" "Just checking if she needed anything," Miguel said evenly. "She has everything she needs," Ethan said, putting his arm around me possessively. "Don't you, baby?" "Yes," I said, leaning into him, not noticing how Miguel's jaw tightened at the interaction. Slowly, Ethan began to isolate me from my support system. "I don't think Jessica is really your friend," he said, after I'd gone out for drinks with my coworker. She was flirting with the bartender all night instead of paying attention to you. She was just having fun. And did you see how she looked at your outfit? That was definitely judgment. You deserve better friends, Sarah. When my college roommate visited from Austin, Ethan was charming to her face, but criticized her the moment she left. She's still acting like she's 22. It's kind of pathetic. And did you notice how she kept bringing up your ex? It's like she wants you to be miserable and single like her. Rachel's not miserable. She's just focused on her career. Is that what she tells you? Sarah, successful people don't need to visit their college friends every month. They move on. Gradually, I stopped making plans with friends. It was easier than dealing with Ethan's commentary afterward. My promotion at work became another source of tension. "Congratulations," he said when I told him, but his tone was flat. "You don't sound happy for me." He sighed dramatically. "I am. It's just, I thought we were planning a future together, but clearly your career is more important." "That's not true. This promotion means better hours, more money for our future." "Our future?" "Sarah, you didn't even discuss this with me before accepting." "I didn't think I needed permission to advance my career." "Permission?" He laughed coldly. "See, this is the problem. You see me as some controlling boyfriend instead of a partner. Partners discuss major life decisions." I spent the rest of the evening apologizing, assuring him that he was my priority, even considering turning down the promotion until he magnanimously told me to keep it. "I just want you to be happy," he said, playing the martyred boyfriend, even if it means I have to sacrifice. 6 months in, Ethan's behavior became increasingly erratic. His phone was always face down, always on silent. When it buzzed, he'd grab it quickly, glance at it, and pocket it. "Who was that?" I asked casually. "No one. Work stuff." "At 11 p.m.? He looked at me with exasperation. "Sarah, construction emergencies don't follow a 9 to 5 schedule. Do you want me to lose clients because you're paranoid?" "I'm not paranoid." "Then stop acting like it." He started having weekend emergencies regularly, entire Saturdays and Sundays where he'd be unreachable. "Major foundation issue at the Morrison site," he'd text, "be out of pocket all weekend." Once, I decided to surprise him with lunch at the Morrison site. I knew where it was from previous conversations, but when I arrived, the site was deserted. No trucks, no workers, no Ethan. When I mentioned it later, casually saying I'd driven by the area, his face went cold. "You were checking up on me?" His voice was dangerously quiet. "No, I was just..." This is exactly what my ex did. The jealousy, the stalking, the possessiveness. She went crazy with paranoia, and it destroyed us. "I thought you were different, Sarah." "I am different. I wasn't checking up." "Then why were you at my job site?" "I wanted to bring you lunch." "Without calling first? Without asking if I needed anything? You just decided to show up and what? Catch me doing something?" I was crying now. "No, Ethan, I just wanted to do something nice." His face softened slightly. "Sarah, I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" "Yes," I whispered. "Good. Because if you can't trust me, this relationship is over." The threat hung between us, and I never questioned his whereabouts again. 7 months in, I ran into a woman at the grocery store who recognized me. "You're dating Ethan Rodriguez, right?" she asked. "Yes." Her face filled with something that looked like pity. "Good luck with that." "Excuse me?" "I'm Lisa. I dated him 2 years ago. Just be careful, okay? And when he starts pulling away, when he starts making you feel crazy, remember, it's not you, it's him." Before I could respond, she was gone. When I mentioned the encounter to Ethan, he exploded. Lisa is psychotic. She stalked me for months after we broke up, made up lies about me, tried to ruin my business. What kind of lies? That I cheated, that I was abusive, all kinds of crazy accusations. She couldn't handle that I ended things, so she tried to destroy me. Why did you end things? Because she was clingy, possessive, and delusional, kind of like how you're acting right now. I'm not acting like anything. I'm just telling you what happened. And believing a stranger over your boyfriend, that really shows how much you trust me. Miguel was there for that fight, in the next room. I saw him in the doorway as I was leaving, tears streaming down my face. Sarah, he called out, but I kept walking. Later, he texted me, "If you ever need to talk, I'm here." I deleted the text. Ethan had access to my phone, and I didn't want to deal with his reaction. It was a Tuesday morning in March, 8 months into our relationship. I've been feeling off for over a week, nauseous, exhausted, emotional. When my period didn't come, I knew. The 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test confirmed it. I sat on my bathroom floor, holding the test, my mind erasing. We'd been careful, but not perfect. And now? My first thought wasn't about the baby. It was about Ethan. How would he react? Would he accuse me of trapping him? Would he be angry? Would this be the thing that finally made him leave? Or would this be the thing that made him stay? That made him finally commit fully to us? I decided to make it special. I bought a cute onesie that said, "Daddy's little helper with little construction tools." I planned a romantic dinner for Friday night. I'd cook his favorite meal, set the table with candles, and tell him we were having a baby. Thursday night, he was distant, scrolling through his phone while I tried to talk about our weekend plans. "Ethan, did you hear me?" Yeah, whatever. "Are we still on for dinner tomorrow, here at my place?" He looked up, irritated. "Why would we have dinner at your place? We always go out on Fridays." "I thought I'd cook." "Since when do you cook?" He laughed, but it wasn't kind. "Last time you tried, you nearly burned down your kitchen." "That was once, and it was just smoke." "Sarah, I have a lot going on right now. Can we not plan every second of our lives?"
"Okay," I said quietly. "We don't have to have dinner here." "Good. Actually, I might have to work late tomorrow anyway. Big project deadline." My heart sank. On Friday night? Yes, on Friday night. Some of us have real responsibilities. The implication that my job wasn't real stung, but I stayed quiet. Friday came and went. "Still at the site, don't wait up." That was all I got. Saturday. "This project is a nightmare, probably pulling an all-nighter." Sunday, silence. By Monday morning, I was beyond worried. I'd called 6 times, each going straight to voicemail. I texted dozens of times, all delivered but unread. I drove to his apartment Monday evening. His truck wasn't there, but I knocked anyway, desperate. His elderly neighbor, Mrs. Chen, opened her door. "Sarah, honey, are you looking for Ethan?" "Yes, have you seen him? I haven't heard from him all weekend." She looked uncomfortable, glancing around the hallway. "Sweetie, I don't know how to tell you this." "Tell me what?" "He moved out. Sunday morning, very early, had a big U-Haul and everything." The world tilted. No, he wouldn't. We're together. I couldn't finish the sentence. "I'm pregnant with his child." "There was a woman with him," Mrs. Chen said gently. "Blonde, pretty. They seemed familiar with each other. I don't remember walking back to my car. I don't remember driving home. I just remember sitting on my couch, holding the pregnancy test I'd hidden in my jewelry box, staring at those two pink lines. He'd known. Somehow he'd known or suspected, and he'd run. Tuesday morning, I called in sick to work and drove to Rodriguez Construction's office. I was desperate, humiliated, and pregnant. The receptionist recognized me. "Oh, Sarah, are you looking for Ethan?" "He's not." "I know he's not here," I said, my voice hollow. "Is Miguel?" "He's in his office. Should I?" I was already walking past her. Miguel looked up when I entered, and his face immediately shifted to concern when he saw my state. Puffy eyes, yesterday's clothes, shaking hands. "Sarah, what's wrong?" "I'm gone," I said, and then I was sobbing. "Ethan's gone. He moved out, changed his number, blocked me everywhere." Miguel stood, closed his office door, and gently guided me to a chair. He handed me tissues and a bottle of water, then sat across from me, waiting for me to calm down enough to speak. "When?" he asked quietly. "Sunday. His neighbor said he moved out Sunday morning." Miguel's jaw tightened. "He called me Sunday night, said he was taking a job in Colorado, that he needed a fresh start." "Colorado? He didn't even... We never discussed..." "Sarah, what happened? Friday, he seemed fine." "I'm pregnant," I blurted out. The words hung in the air between us. Miguel's eyes widened, then filled with understanding and anger. "He knew?" "I never got to tell him. I was going to Friday night, but he said he had to work. But I think he must have suspected. Maybe he saw the pregnancy test box in my trash, or noticed I wasn't drinking wine, or I don't know." "That fucking coward," Miguel said, then immediately apologized. "Sorry, I shouldn't..." "No, you're right. He is a coward."
Miguel was quiet for a moment, then asked, "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. I can't do this alone." "You're not alone," he said firmly. "You have options, and whatever you decide, you have support. Why would you support me? I'm just your brother's ex. You're a person who's been abandoned in a terrible situation, and my brother, Ethan, has done this before." "What?" Miguel sighed, running his hair through his hair. Not the pregnancy part, but the disappearing act. When things get serious, when women start expecting real commitment, he runs. Usually not this dramatically, but how many times? At least 3 that I know of. Lisa, the woman you met, she wasn't lying. Ethan did cheat. He was emotionally abusive, and when she finally called him on it, he played the victim and disappeared. Why didn't you warn me? Would you have believed me? You were so happy those first few months, and I hoped maybe you were different. Maybe he had finally grown up. But I wasn't different. No, Sarah, you are different. You're pregnant with his child, and he abandoned you. That's a new low, even for him. Over the next few weeks, Miguel became my lifeline. He called to check on me daily, not about Ethan, but about me. How I was feeling, if I was eating, whether I'd seen a doctor. "I have my first appointment Thursday," I told him during one call. "Do you have someone to go with you?" "I'll be fine alone." "That wasn't what I asked." "No, I don't have anyone. I haven't told my parents yet. I can't face my friends. It's too humiliating." "Would you like to come, just as support?" Miguel, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I'm offering. Why? Why do you care? He was quiet for a moment. Because someone should. Because you deserve better than being alone through this. And because I watched my brother hurt people for years and did nothing. Maybe this is my chance to do something right. He picked me up Thursday morning, bringing ginger tea for my morning sickness and crackers for the drive. He sat in the waiting room while I had my exam, and he was there when I came out with ultrasound pictures and prenatal vitamins. "Everything okay?" he asked. 8 weeks along, healthy heartbeat, due in November. That's wonderful, Sarah. Is it? I'm alone, pregnant, abandoned. You're not alone, he said firmly. I know I'm not who you expected to have by your side, but you're not alone. Morning sickness hit me hard. There were days I couldn't keep anything down, could barely make it to work. Miguel started showing up at my apartment with supplies. Ginger ale, saltines, peppermint tea. You don't have to do this, I said one particularly bad morning, hunched over the toilet. I know I don't, but someone should take care of you. He never crossed boundaries, never made it uncomfortable. He'd drop off groceries and leave. He'd text funny memes when he knew I was having bad days. He'd send articles about pregnancy, always with notes like, thought this might be helpful, or my cousin said this worked for her morning sickness. My friends started noticing Ethan's absence. Where's your boyfriend? I haven't seen him in weeks. Jessica asked at lunch. We broke up, I said simply. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. What happened? He wasn't who I thought he was. I couldn't tell her the full truth. Not yet. The shame was too fresh, too raw. My parents were harder to avoid. We want to meet this Ethan you're always talking about, my mother said during our weekly call. Actually, Mom, we're not together anymore. What? Why? You seemed so happy. It just didn't work out. Sarah, you're not getting any younger. You can't keep pushing good men away. He left me, Mom. He left. I didn't push him away. The silence on the other end was deafening. Oh, sweetheart, I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about it? Not yet. But Mom, I'm going to need you soon. Both you and Dad. I'm just not ready yet. At 12 weeks, I had my second ultrasound. Miguel drove me again. Do you want to see? The technician asked, turning the screen toward me. There, on the monitor, was my baby. A real, moving, living baby with arms and legs and a beating heart. Oh my God, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Would you like pictures? Yes, please. In the car afterward, I stared at the ultrasound photos. That's your niece or nephew, I told Miguel. Can I see? I handed him the pictures. His face softened as he looked at them. Beautiful, he said. Absolutely beautiful. It's really happening. I'm really having a baby. You are. And you're going to be an amazing mother. How do you know? Because you already love that baby more than Ethan ever loved anyone in his life. At 16 weeks, my bump started showing. I couldn't hide it anymore. I told my parents over dinner at their house. I'm pregnant, I said, the words falling into their shocked silence. What? But you said you and Ethan broke up. He left when he found out. Or suspected. I never got to actually tell him. My mother's face went through a series of emotions. Shock, anger, sadness,
And finally, determination. "That bastard," she said, and I'd never heard her curse before. "Mom." "No, Sarah. What kind of man abandons a pregnant woman? What kind of coward?" "It's okay. I'm okay." "How are you okay? You're alone and pregnant." "I'm not alone. I have support." I told them about Miguel, how he'd been helping. My father was skeptical. "The brother of the man who abandoned you? Sarah, that seems complicated." "It's not like that, Dad. He's just being a good friend. He feels responsible for Ethan's behavior, even though it's not his fault." "And he has no other motives?" "He's been nothing but respectful. He's never crossed a line, never made me uncomfortable. He's just there, consistently there." My mother wanted to meet him. "Anyone who's helping my daughter deserves my thanks." Miguel was nervous about meeting my parents. "They probably hate me by association," he said as we pulled up to their house. "They don't hate you. They're grateful. My brother abandoned their pregnant daughter. I wouldn't be grateful to anyone with the last name Rodriguez." But my parents surprised us both. My mother hugged Miguel the moment she met him. "Thank you for taking care of our girl," she said. "She's taking care of herself," Miguel replied. "I'm just helping where I can." Over dinner, my father grilled Miguel about his business, his life, his intentions. Miguel answered everything honestly, never defensive, never trying to make excuses for Ethan. "My brother is who he is," he said. "I can't change that, but I can choose to be better." "And what happens when he comes back?" my father asked pointedly. "If he comes back, that's between him and Sarah. I'm not here to interfere with that. I'm just here to make sure she and the baby have support." After Miguel left, my mother pulled me aside. "That's a good man," she said. "Mom, it's not like that." "I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that's a good man. And after what you've been through, you deserve to know good men exist." At 20 weeks, I had the anatomy scan. Miguel had been to every appointment, and this one was no different. "Do you want to know the sex?" the technician asked. "Yes," I said immediately. "Congratulations, you're having a girl." "A girl. A daughter." "I'm having a daughter," I whispered. Miguel squeezed my hand. "She's going to be beautiful, just like her mom." I looked at him then, really looked at him. Over the past 3 months, he'd become my constant. He'd seen me at my worst, sobbing over Ethan, throwing up for morning sickness, raging at the unfairness of it all. And he'd never wavered. "Miguel," I started, but he shook his head. "Don't," he said gently. "I know what you're going to say, and we can't, not now. You're vulnerable, you're pregnant, you're still processing what my brother did. Whatever you're feeling, it's too soon." He was right, of course, but that didn't stop my heart from racing when he smiled at me. We started preparing the nursery. Miguel insisted on helping, bringing over his tools and expertise. "You don't have to do this," I said for the 100th time, as he assembled the crib. "You need to stop saying that," he replied, not looking up from the instructions. "I'm here because I want to be." "Why?" He set down his screwdriver and looked at me. "Do you really want to know?" "Yes." "Because the moment I saw you that day in my office, broken and scared and still so strong, I knew I couldn't walk away. Because every day I watch you face this pregnancy with grace and courage, and it amazes me. Because you're carrying my niece, and she deserves to come into a world where people step up, not run away." "Miguel, and because I'm falling in love with you." He said quietly, "I know it's wrong, I know it's complicated, I know you're not ready to hear it, but you asked why, and that's the truth." I didn't know what to say. My heart was racing, my emotions a tangled mess of gratitude, fear, and something else I wasn't ready to name. "I can't," I whispered. "I know, and I'm not asking you to. I'm just being honest. Nothing has to change. I'll still be here, just as your friend, for as long as you need me." At 28 weeks, I started having Braxton Hicks contractions. They scared me enough to call Miguel in a panic. "I think something's wrong," I gasped. He was at my apartment in 10 minutes, finding me on the couch, hand on my belly. "What's happening?" "Contractions, but it's too early. We're going to the hospital."
False alarm, the doctor said. Just practice contractions. But Miguel stayed with me all night anyway, sleeping in the uncomfortable hospital chair. "You should go home," I told him at 3 a.m. "I'm good here," he replied, eyes closed. "Miguel!" "Sarah, I'm not leaving you alone in the hospital." End of discussion. At 32 weeks, we painted the nursery, soft yellow with white trim. Miguel had stenciled butterflies on one wall, delicate and perfect. "It's beautiful," I said, one hand on my enormous belly. "She deserves beautiful things," he replied. "What if I can't do this? What if I'm a terrible mother?" "You won't be." "How do you know?" "Because terrible mothers don't worry about being terrible mothers. And because I've watched you these past months. You've already sacrificed so much for her. You already love her more than anything. That's what makes a good mother." "Ethan should be here," I said, surprising myself. Miguel stiffened. "Do you want him here?" "No," I realized. "I don't. She should have a father. She'll have people who love her. That's what matters." "But what do I tell her when she asks about her dad?" "The truth, that he wasn't ready to be a father, that he made a choice and it had nothing to do with her value or worth." "Will that be enough?" "It will have to be." At 36 weeks, my baby shower was a surprise organized by my mother and Jessica. Miguel had helped, I learned later, making sure all my friends from before Ethan were invited. "We missed you," Rachel said, my college roommate who Ethan had convinced me was toxic. "I didn't understand why you pulled away, but Jessica explained about your ex." "He was controlling," I admitted. "Abusive," Rachel corrected. "What you're describing is emotional abuse, Sarah." Hearing it said out loud was jarring but validating. Miguel stayed in the background during the shower, helping my dad with grilling, making sure everyone had drinks. But I caught him watching me sometimes with an expression I couldn't quite read. "That man is in love with you," Jessica whispered. "It's complicated." "No, it's not. His brother was an ass who abandoned you. Miguel stepped up. He chose you and the baby. That's not complicated. That's beautiful." At 38 weeks and 3 days, I woke up at 2 a.m. with real contractions. These weren't Braxton Hicks. These were intense, regular, and took my breath away. I called Miguel first, not even thinking about it. "Sarah, what's wrong?" "It's time. The baby's coming." "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Have your bag ready." He was there in 8, finding me bent over the kitchen counter, breathing through a contraction. "How far apart?" 5 minutes, I gasped. "Okay, we're going now." He grabbed my hospital bag, helped me to his truck, and drove carefully but quickly to the hospital. Between contractions, he held my hand. "You've got this," he kept saying. "You're the strongest person I know." "I'm scared." "I know, but I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Labor was long, 16 hours of increasing pain and exhaustion. Miguel never left my side. He fed me ice chips, rubbed my back, reminded me to breathe, and when I said I couldn't do it anymore, he looked me in the eyes and said, "Yes, you can. You've done impossible things for 9 months. You can do this too." When Emma finally arrived at 6:47 p.m. on November 15th, screaming and perfect, I sobbed with relief and joy. "You did it, Miguel," I whispered, tears streaming down his face. You did it. The nurse placed Emma on my chest, and she immediately stopped crying, looking up at me with serious dark eyes. "Hi, baby girl," I whispered. "I'm your mama. I've been waiting for you." "She's perfect," Miguel said. "Absolutely perfect." "Do you want to hold her?" I asked him. "Can I?" The nurse helped transfer Emma to Miguel's arms. He held her like she was made of spun glass, his face full of wonder. "Hello, Emma," he said softly. "I'm your Uncle Miguel. But I promise you, sweet girl, you'll never want for anything. Not love, not family, not support. You're going to be so loved." Emma seemed to study his face, then yawned, and my heart cracked open with love for both of them. Those first weeks were a blur of feedings, diaper changes, and no sleep. Miguel had taken time off work to help, showing up every morning with coffee and breakfast. "You don't have to," I started one morning. "If you say, you don't have to do this, one more time, I'm going to lose it," he said gently. "I want to be here. Please let me." Emma had colic, screaming for hours every evening. Miguel would walk her around my apartment, singing soft Spanish lullabies his mother had sung to him, while I took desperately needed showers or just sat and cried from exhaustion. "Why are you so good to us?" I asked one night at 3 a.m., finding him in the nursery, Emma finally quiet in his arms. "Because you deserve good," he said simply. My mother visited often, but she noticed what I was trying not to see. "That man loves you," she said one afternoon while Miguel was at the store. "Mom, and you love him too." "It's too complicated. He's Ethan's brother." "Ethan forfeited any claim to your loyalty when he abandoned you," she said firmly. "Miguel chose to stay. He chose to love Emma. He's choosing you both every single day." "But what would people think?" "Who cares? The people who matter will understand, and the ones who don't understand don't matter." When Emma was 3 months old, she finally smiled for the first time. Not gas, not a reflex, but a real smile, and it was directed at Miguel. He'd been making silly faces at her during tummy time, and suddenly her whole face lit up with joy. "Did you see that?" he shouted. "Sarah, she smiled. She smiled at me." "I saw," I said, my heart so full it hurt. "Hi, happy girl," he cooed at Emma, who smiled again. There's that beautiful smile. That night, after Emma was asleep, Miguel and I sat on my couch sharing a bottle of wine. My first since before pregnancy. "I need to tell you something," I said. "Okay?" "I'm falling in love with you too." He set down his wine glass carefully. "Sarah, I know it's complicated. I know it's messy. But these past months, you've shown me what real love looks like. Not the performance Ethan gave me, not the manipulation and mind games, but real, steady, consistent love. You've been through so much. I don't want to take advantage." "You're not. You've had 1,000 opportunities to take advantage, and you never have. You've been respectful and kind and patient. What about Ethan? What about him? He left. He made his choice. And honestly, him leaving was the best thing that could have happened, because it led me to you." Miguel moved closer, cupping my face gently. "Are you sure?" I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed me then, soft and sweet, and nothing like his brother's demanding passion. It felt like coming home. We took things slowly. Miguel didn't move in right away, but he was there every day. He'd arrive in the morning to help with Emma before work, come back in the evening for dinner and bedtime routine. Emma adored him. Her face would light up when he walked in, and she'd reach for him constantly. At 6 months, when she said her first word was mama, but her second, a week later, was Mimi, her version of Miguel. "She's trying to say your name," I told him, delighted. "No, she's probably just babbling." "Mimi!" Emma shrieked, reaching for him. Miguel had tears in his eyes as he picked her up. "Hi, baby girl. Yeah, I'm your Mimi." By the time Emma was 8 months old, the pretense of Miguel going home at night had become silly. He was spending more nights on my couch than in his own bed. "This is ridiculous," I said, one morning finding him twisted up on my too small couch. "Just stay in my bed." "Sarah." "To sleep, Miguel. We have an 8-month-old. I'm too tired for anything else." He laughed. Fair point. That night, we lay in my bed with Emma in her crib nearby, and it felt like family. Real family. "I love you," he whispered in the dark. "I love you too. And Emma, she loves you most of all."
When Emma was 10 months old, Miguel proposed, not with a grand gesture like Ethan would have done, but quietly, privately, perfectly. We were in the nursery, Emma asleep in her crib, and he was fixing a wobbly shelf. "Sarah," he said suddenly, "I want to be Emma's dad." "You already are, in every way that matters. I mean legally. I want to adopt her, and I want to marry you." He turned to face me, pulling out a simple solitaire ring. "This isn't how I planned to do this, but nothing about our story has gone according to plan. I love you. I love Emma. I want to be your husband and her father, officially. Will you marry me?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Yes to all of it." We married when Emma was 14 months old in a small ceremony in my parents' backyard. Emma was our flower girl, toddling down the aisle and throwing petals everywhere but where they were supposed to go. In his vows, Miguel promised not just to love me, but to be the father Emma deserved. "I choose you both," he said. "Today, tomorrow, and every day after. Emma, I promise to love you, protect you, and embarrass you at school dances. Sarah, I promise to love you through sleepless nights, terrible twos, and whatever challenges come our way." I ugly cried through the entire ceremony. The adoption was finalized 2 months later. Miguel was officially Emma's father, and she was officially Emma Rodriguez. "It's official," Miguel said, holding the papers. "She's mine." "She was always yours," I said, "from the moment you held her in that hospital." Our life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Miguel's construction business was thriving, and I'd returned to work part-time with Miguel handling daycare drop-offs when needed. Emma was a happy, confident toddler. She had Miguel's stubborn streak and my curiosity. She loved books, music, and following Miguel around with her toy tools, helping him fix things. "Papa, fix," she'd announce, holding up her plastic hammer. It had evolved naturally, from Mimi to Papa. The first time she said it, Miguel froze. "Did she just call me Papa?" Emma repeated, clear as day. "Is that okay?" he asked me. "You're her papa," I said simply. "Of course it's okay." We never talked about Ethan. There was no need. Emma had a father. The man who read her bedtime stories, who taught her Spanish words, who kissed her scraped knees and scared away monsters.
When Emma was 15 months old, we found out I was pregnant again. How? I asked, staring at the test. He laughed. I think you know how. But we were careful. Not that careful, apparently. Are you happy? He pulled me close, ecstatic. Emma's going to be a big sister. What if something goes wrong? What if you decide you can't handle it and leave? Hey, he said firmly, I'm not him. I'm never going to be him. I choose you and Emma and this new baby. Every day, I choose you. Emma adapted to the idea of a sibling with typical toddler self-centeredness. Baby in mama belly, she'd announce to anyone who would listen, my baby. Diego Miguel Rodriguez was born on a sunny June morning with Miguel by my side and Emma waiting with my parents. When Emma met her brother, she studied him seriously, then declared, Small. Yes, he's small. You were small ones too. No, she said firmly. Emma big. Miguel laughed. Yes, princess, you're a big girl now. Emma had just turned 18 months old. She was walking confidently, talking in full sentences, and had opinions about what shoes to wear, to what book to read at bedtime. It was a Saturday afternoon. Diego was only 2 weeks old, sleeping in his bassinet. Emma was helping Miguel cook lunch, which mostly meant stealing pieces of cheese and giggling.
The knock on the door was unexpected. We weren't expecting anyone. I'll get it, Miguel said, wiping his hands on a dish towel. I heard the door open, heard Miguel's sharp intake of breath, then a single word that made my blood freeze. Ethan. I walked to the entryway, Diego in my arms, to find my ex standing on our porch. He looked older, thinner, holding a bouquet of sunflowers, my former favorite flowers that I now couldn't stand the sight of. His eyes took in everything, Miguel's protective stance, my wedding ring, the baby in my arms, the toddler sounds from the kitchen. Hello, Sarah. What are you doing here? Miguel's voice was deadly calm. I came to see my daughter. Papa? Emma called from the kitchen. Where'd Papa go? Ethan's face cracked at the word. She talks. She calls him Papa. That's who he is, I said firmly. He's been here since before she was born. He's the only father she knows. I'm her biological father. You're a sperm donor, I interrupted. Nothing more. Emma toddled into view, saw the stranger, and immediately went to Miguel, wrapping her arms around his leg. Papa, up, she demanded. Miguel picked her up, and she buried her face in his neck, peeking at Ethan with suspicious eyes. She's beautiful. She's perfect, Miguel said, and she's mine. Legally, emotionally, in every way that matters. I want to meet her. No, I said simply. You don't get to waltz back in here after 2 years and disrupt her life. I've changed. I don't care, and I meant it. I don't care if you've become a saint. You left me pregnant and alone. You left her before she was even born. You don't get to come back now that the hard part is over. I have rights. You have nothing, Miguel said. You signed away your rights when you abandoned them. I adopted Emma. She's my daughter. I was scared. I was scared too. The difference is I stayed. Miguel stayed.
We did the hard work while you ran away." Emma had been watching the conversation, and in that way toddlers have of sensing tension, she started to fuss. "Mama," she whined, reaching for me. I shifted Diego to one arm and took Emma with the other. My children, mine and Miguel's. "Go away, Ethan. There's nothing here for you." "This isn't over." "Yes, it is," Miguel said. "You made your choice 2 years ago. Now live with it." Ethan looked at our family, Miguel and I united, our children safe in our arms, our home full of love and stability, and I saw the moment he realized what he'd thrown away. "I made a mistake." "Yes, you did." I agreed. "But your mistake became our miracle. So thank you for leaving, Ethan. It was the only good thing you ever did for us." Emma is 7 now, brilliant and confident, and absolutely Miguel's daughter in every way. She loves building things with her papa, speaks fluent Spanish thanks to him, and has his same steady, thoughtful nature. Diego is 5, wild and energetic and loving. He worships his big sister and follows her everywhere. Our youngest, Sophia, just turned 2. She was our planned baby, conceived in love and welcomed with joy. Miguel's construction business has grown into one of the largest in Dallas. I've advanced to marketing director at my company. We built a house together. Miguel literally built it, with bedrooms for all our kids and a big backyard for playing. Ethan never came back after that day. We heard through the grapevine that he moved to California, married someone else, has kids of his own now. I hope he's become a better man for them, but I don't really think about him anymore. Sometimes Emma asks questions. "Mama, why don't I look exactly like Papa?" "Because families don't have to look exactly alike to be real families," I tell her. "Love makes a family, not looks." "But Sophia looks like Papa, and you look like me. Diego looks like both of us. We're all different, but we're all family." She accepts this easily, the way children do when they're secure in their place in the world. Last week, Emma had a school project about heroes. She had to write about someone she admired and present it to the class. Miguel and I sat in the small classroom chairs, watching our daughter stand confidently at the front of the room. My hero is my papa, not because he's super strong, even though he is, and not because he builds houses, even though that's cool. My papa is my hero because he chooses to love us every single day. He could have picked any family, but he picked us. He teaches me that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. It's about staying when things get hard. It's about choosing love. I looked at Miguel, tears streaming down both our faces. After the presentation, Emma's teacher pulled us aside. "That was beautiful," she said. "You've raised an amazing young lady." "She raises herself," Miguel said. "We just try to keep up." That night, after all 3 kids were asleep, Miguel and I sat on our back porch, sharing a glass of wine and marveling at our life. "Did you ever imagine this?" I asked. "When Ethan left, when you were helping me through pregnancy, did you imagine we'd end up here?" "I hoped," he admitted. "Even when it seemed impossible, I hoped." "I'm glad he left," I said, surprising myself with the truth of it. If Ethan had stayed, if he'd pretended to want us, I'd have ended up in a miserable marriage with a narcissist. Emma would have grown up thinking that's what love looks like: control, manipulation, emotional absence. Instead, she's growing up seeing real love, partnership, respect. She's growing up with a father who shows her every day what a good man looks like. "I love you," Miguel said. "I love our family. I love our life. I love you too. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for letting me." Inside, I could hear Diego stirring, probably heading to Emma's room like he did most nights. Soon, Sofia would wake up wanting water. Tomorrow would bring its own chaos. School runs, work meetings, soccer practice, bedtime battles. But tonight, sitting with the man who chose to stay, thinking about the man who chose to leave, I felt nothing but gratitude. Ethan thought he was abandoning a problem. Instead, he abandoned a miracle. His loss, our gain. Our beautiful, chaotic, perfect gain. The end. If you're reading this and recognizing your own relationship and Ethan's behavior, the love bombing, the gaslighting, the emotional manipulation, please know that it's not your fault. These patterns are about control, not love. Real love doesn't diminish you. It builds you up. Real love doesn't make you question your sanity. It makes you feel secure. Real love doesn't run when things get hard. It stays and works through the challenges. You deserve a Miguel, not an Ethan. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, not someone who makes you constantly work for their approval. And if you're pregnant and alone because someone like Ethan left you, know this: their leaving might feel like the end of the world, but it might just be the beginning of something better. Sometimes the best thing a toxic person can do is remove themselves from your life, making room for real love to grow. Stay strong. You've got this. Sarah. A message to my sisters. If you've made it this far in my story, first, thank you for listening. But more importantly, I want you to know that this platform isn't just about my story. It's about our stories. To those who recognize themselves in my experience, you are not alone. I know it feels like you are, especially in those moments when he's convinced you that you're too sensitive or imagining things. But you're not. Your feelings are valid. Your experiences are real. And you deserve so much better. Please share your story in the comments. Whether you're still in the relationship and seeing the red flags, or recently escaped and trying to heal, are years out and finally understanding what happened to you, supporting someone going through this, raising children after being abandoned. Your voice matters. Your story matters. I read every single comment. We all do. And sometimes seeing our own experience reflected in someone else's words is what gives us the strength to take that next step, whether it's recognizing the abuse, leaving the relationship, or simply believing we deserve better. We're building a community here, a sisterhood of survivors, thrivers, and warriors. We're here to validate each other when the world and he tells you you're crazy. Support each other through the dark nights and uncertain days. Celebrate each other, every small victory, every moment of strength. Educate each other about the patterns, the red flags, and the healing. Don't let shame silence you. I was silent for so long because I was embarrassed. How could a smart, educated woman like me fall for manipulation? How could I not see what was happening? But shame is what keeps us isolated, and isolation is what allows the abuse to continue. If you're not ready to share publicly, that's okay too. Even just reading other stories, knowing you're not alone, is a form of healing. But when you're ready, we're here. We're listening. We believe you. To the Miguels out there, the good men who step up, who show us what real love looks like, who help us heal, thank you. You restore our faith and love. To the Ethans, we see you, we recognize your patterns, and we're teaching our daughters to spot you from a mile away. Your games don't work anymore. Remember, love doesn't hurt. If it hurts, it's not love. You don't need to be fixed. You're not broken. His behavior is not your fault, no matter what he says. Leaving doesn't make you a failure, it makes you brave. Starting over isn't losing, it's choosing yourself. Share this story if it resonated with you. You never know who needs to hear it. That friend who's been having problems with her boyfriend, that sister whose husband seems a little controlling, that coworker whose smile doesn't reach her eyes anymore. We're stronger together. Every comment, every shared experience, every word of support, they all matter. They create a chorus of voices that says, no more. We deserve better. We are better. This channel will continue sharing stories like mine. Stories of manipulation, survival, and triumph. Stories that need to be told. Stories that might save someone. So please, subscribe to join our community. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss new stories. Share with anyone who might need to hear this. Comment with your own experiences. Support each other in the comments. Let's break the silence. Let's end the shame. Let's show these narcissistic manipulators that we're not victims, we're survivors. And we're not surviving alone, we're thriving together.